When we picture a dog or a cat going into a shelter, or if we have to rehome our dog or cat and send them to a shelter, we imagine that they're going to find their forever home. Unfortunately, that's not always the case though. And today I want to talk about how many shelter dogs are euthanized every year and why neutering is important and how this relates to this topic. And stay tuned until the end of the video as you'll find out just what this counter is all about. Hi, I'm Dr. Alex from ourpetshealth.com, where my aim is to help you and your pet to live a healthier, happier life. So make sure you're subscribed if that's something that you're interested in. And really, this video was prompted by a number of comments on my spaying and castrating dogs and cats videos and the risks and benefits of those. And some of them were kind of really quite offensive. Some people obviously took offense to the fact that their dogs or cats should be neutered or should consider having them neutered in the first place. And those comments ranged for, you should be castrated, or it's absolutely cruel, it's ridiculous, there's no problems at all, there's absolutely no benefits to being castrated or being spayed. And certainly a lot of the comments also talk about how we're taking away from our pets' ability to be mothers or fathers and their desire to be mothers or fathers. And that's really anthropomorphism at the highest level. And that means that we're putting human emotions onto our pets that they don't have. You know, cats and dogs, they really do not have a desire to be mothers. They do not dream as their puppies of growing up and having a litter of puppies or a litter of kittens. And if you neuter them, if you castrate them or spay them, they don't regret, they don't mourn for the loss of their potential family. That's just simply not the case. We know that to be true. If we take the hormones away, we just remove the desire to breed, the desire to mate, and the desire to have puppies. It has no kind of psychological impact on your dog or cat. And neutering ties into the number of dogs that are euthanized in shelters every year, because every year puppies are being born where the owners just are unable to find homes, and so the puppies are taken to a shelter. Kind of the owner absolves themselves of all responsibility, or suboptimal owners are found, new owners are found, they go into homes, they're not suitable, maybe they're mistreated, or the owner just can't cope with them, the relationship only lasts a short time, and they need to be rehomed, and as a result they're given to a shelter. Breeding too many puppies and breeding too many kittens is absolutely responsible for a large number of these dogs and cats entering the shelter system. And this is not an insignificant problem, because every year in the US alone, about 6.5 million dogs and cats, most of those are dogs, though a reasonable proportion are cats, 6.5 million enter the US shelter system. As lovely as it would be to have all of these animals rehomed to loving forever homes, unfortunately that's not the case. You know, there are a number of reasons why these dogs and cats will be euthanized. They'll need to be euthanized. Some of them will be health reasons. They'll be suffering from chronic, debilitating or life-threatening, life-compromising diseases that make them not suitable for rehoming, and in many cases might actually be beneficial from a welfare point of view for that individual animal, and they'll be euthanized. There are also going to be a number of animals who will euthanize because of behavioural problems. Maybe with dogs it's severe aggression and they just are unsuitable, again for rehoming. But also a lot of that euthanasia is carried out because a loving home cannot be found. Now that might be because there is a slight behavioural issue or there is a minor medical issue, but it might also be that the dog is just a little bit too hyperactive, and everyone who comes to the shelter goes and chooses a different dog instead, and you know, a home just cannot be found. So that unfortunately is the reality of the situation. Our shelters are generally doing the best job that they can, but they have limited space, they have limited financial resources, they have limited volunteers to help out to look after these animals, and they just can't keep admitting animals into their shelter if the animals aren't then leaving. So the only way to combat this is to either completely refuse to take any more animals, or to euthanize those that they're not able to find homes for or are not suitable for rehoming. Now, if we think of no-kill shelters, now, you know, we think of that, if we think of no-kill, they don't euthanize any animals. Well, that's not true. They will euthanize sick animals and those with severe behavioral problems. They may even euthanize a small proportion of healthy animals and still be able to call themselves a no-kill shelter. But if they're not doing that, then they're going to have severe limitations on the type of animal, on the health status of the animals that they're accepting. Those animals that don't fit those criteria, the only option is either to leave them on the streets, which isn't really an option, or to send them to another shelter, which unfortunately does have to euthanize potentially healthy dogs and cats. So just how many dogs are euthanized in shelters in the US every year? Well, of the 6.5 million pets that enter the shelter system, 1.5 million dogs and cats are euthanized every year. And so what difference can you make to this figure? How can we reduce the number of dogs and cats that are being euthanized every year in shelters across the world? This isn't just a US problem. Well, if you have a dog or if you have a cat and you're not wanting puppies or kittens, if you cannot absolutely 100% guarantee that they are not either going to get mated and have puppies or kittens, or they're not going to jump the fence and go and breed with the female dog or cat down the road, then you absolutely need to get your dog spayed or castrated. Now, if you are wanting puppies or kittens with your pet, and that can be a wonderful experience, then you really do need to be absolutely sure that you're going to be able to find them their forever home for however many puppies or kittens are in that litter. It's not necessarily as easy as you think it is. The people who say that they'll definitely have a puppy or kitten if your dog or cat breeds, they'll often fall by the wayside and disappear into thin air when the actual event happens. So really make sure that that's the case. And I've got a video that I'll link down in the description about the things that you need to think about if you're thinking of breeding your dog or cat in the future. And then the other step that you can take to help reduce the number of dogs that are being euthanized in shelters every year is, if you're thinking of getting a new dog, is to get one from a shelter, rehome one from a shelter rather than buying one from a breeder. Shelters have so many different breeds available. They have different size dogs, different temperaments. They're going to have different ages, right the way from puppies through to senior, older dogs and cats as well. So, if you're visiting your local shelter, before long, there's bound to be the perfect dog for you. And as for the counter on the screen, well, that's simply the number of dogs and cats that have been euthanized while you've been watching this video. It's quite staggering, isn't it? So we need to think strongly about these things. We need to consider all of the arguments surrounding neutering, surrounding spaying and castrating our dogs and cats. And if you're interested in learning about the pros and cons of neutering your cat or your dog, as well as the best timing to have that procedure done, then check out the videos that are linked on the screen now. But until next time, I'm Dr. Alex. This is Our Pets Health, because they're family.